Oh, good evening, everyone.
Uh, Hello.
Hello.
Good evening. Good evening. Welcome everybody to Dom and Tom Sick Talk and Hobby, episode 59.
Yeah, 59. 10 away from being really good.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Something we both could enjoy. Gonna be a long one, people. Welcome. For those who are new, we just essentially sit here, do a bit of hobby, have a bit of a chat, and yeah, all good times, really, isn't it?
I mean,
So
most of the time, yes.
Yeah, so tonight we're going to go through a bit on the painting challenge. We've got a few entries for that, which will be quite fun and exciting. And we can talk about Warhammer Plus
Oh,
and what
yes.
we're working on as well.
Hmm.
So, Tom, you've shown me what you're working on. Do you want to show the lovely people watching tonight what you're
Yes.
working
Well, I can do a little camera thing. So, anyway, um, some of you may have been watching some of the recent content. I've done quite a bit on the Templars, done some Orcs, done some Red Scorpions, and did some Black Templars. So, that's four of my armies kind of covered quite extensively. And I have decided to switch over to some Sisters of Battle. So down here, this is my little tray of. These are all my currently painted models. However, I'm making a slight change to the colour scheme. I'm adding on some silver, but I'm also working on these models on the end here. So we have a Hospitaller, a Diagonus, and three Sister Superiors. No, sorry, two Sister Superiors and a Canoness. So that is what my current set of stuff to do. So I've got quite a varied bunch of stuff to do tonight. And of course, the two rhinos you saw on the end as well, they're still in progress, but we're getting there. So I'm gradually
Brilliant.
reworking through that and just tidying up a few bits and making them look nice and good. And what about yourself, Dominic?
Tonight I am going to be mostly painting Necrons, so I'm working on my old Doom Strider thing at the moment.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's what I'm going to be working on. What about the lovely people in chat? What are you all working on tonight? Anything good? Hopefully something good.
Although, saying that, chat, there's not a lot of people on tonight. Don't know if you noticed.
No, maybe they're having a night off. Maybe they've had enough of us, Tom. When I
Um,
say us, I mainly mean you.
we, well, that's just rude. That's just rude. I am going to put a little thing in Discord just in case people have maybe forgotten. I would be very surprised.
They wouldn't forget about us, Tom. They wouldn't forget about us.
There we go. So Dave Holland's working on some Wolfguard, and Captain Jack is working a Repentia squad at the moment. Ah, nice. I do actually have some Repentia in my box set still. I need to actually make up and actually get on with at some point. It's been a little while since cause I've basically got the jump troops and the Repentia left, and what's who's the leader of the Repentia of the Whips? I can't remember the name of the unit. Is it Repentia Superior? It might be actually.
Yeah, something along those lines, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Um, so yeah, that's basically. But yeah, I've got quite a lot to get on with tonight. And but tonight is one of those nights where I thought I'd kind of inundate myself with lots of different models to do because I don't typically when we're doing the winners of this particular thing, we don't tend to get that involved in the painting, I suppose, sometimes because we tend to wait until this has happened, then we get a bit distracted with all the challenge stuff. One of these days, Mr. Blue is doing some pieces for an Apocalypse game I'm about to have in 2 weeks. Oh, Mr. Blue, what is the sides for the Apocalypse game? That would be a nice one to find out.
Hello, Peter and Captain Jack. Never too much debt I can amass. Hello, Isaac.
I mean, I did warn him, Jack. He has told me not to say anything about the current financial state of the group that we've formed here. It's not as rosy as he thinks it is. I have to hide things from him. You know, his debtors are many. It's the wild bets he makes. You see, that's the problem.
Buy, sell.
All to do with the Games Workshop market. You know, it's just dangerous. You know, you keep selling Games Workshop stock. I don't understand. I keep telling him, No. It's going up. Don't sell it.
No, no.
He's, and then,
Time over. I've seen enough people online, Tom, to know that it's in a bad place at the moment, and that we should all leave the hobby.
oh dear. Anyway, well, we're starting here. So you've had a couple of games, Dom, and I've had a couple of games. Have you enjoyed yourself?
I have played 2 games, both of which were amazing, really good fun games actually. Hopefully that kind of transitions across to the battle reports. But yeah, very enjoyable games. The first one was against Vicky, so it was Crimson Fists versus the Necrons.
Very nice.
And then the second one was Ultramarines. I don't know if Matt's in the chat tonight. Hopefully he is. Ultramarines versus Word Bearers and Renegades and Heretics. That's a bit more of a narrative game.
Very nice.
Should be fun. I put a couple of pictures for both games up on
yes, I saw
Instagram. So have a little taster. Go check them out. Check them out.
Yeah, and obviously I had a game against Daryl last weekend with his Death Guard. We were supposed to have 2, but unfortunately I did succumb to some side effects of vaccine mania. Yeah, I think it might have been the Death Guard, to be fair. I think that may be fair. So we only really just managed to get through the one, because I was rather nauseous for most of the day. It was making it very difficult to play, actually. But I still enjoyed myself, and it was so nice to have someone around who hasn't been around for such a long time as well. And I'm looking for. I know me and Dom are actually hoping to get a game in I think probably a couple of weeks now, isn't it? Because we've both got quite a few other bits on between now and then, and plus I'm on call next week, so I can't do next week, sadly.
Yeah, soon enough, though, my friend. Soon enough, we will have a game.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
And off the back of that game I had with Daryl, actually, I started to design a slightly different tournament list for my Black Templars, which I'm actually looking forward to putting together.
Would you like to go through that today?
I can give the bare bones if everyone would like to hear it.
Yeah, talk through your list. I'm sure there's lots of Marine players there that want to know about your Black Templar.
Well, I mean, to start with, obviously, my original list was actually fairly obviously much more heavy assault orientated, and it was.
Hello, Vicky.
And hello, Vicky. And it's also Mr. Blue also did reply to my question, so it'd be rude not to acknowledge that. He said he's doing Space Wolves, Abmech versus Alpha Legion and Demons, and assorted. Oh yes, 8,000 aside. That is a nice number. However, I'm just about to launch into my list description. What rules are you playing? Are you playing the New Apocalypse rules? Or are you just playing large 40k as it should be played? Anyway, yes. So I've decided to go with a slightly different list in the end. So I will be taking a chaplain, a Primaris chaplain on a bike.
Yeah.
And he's going to be using Wise Orator as his warlord trait. He's going to be the warlord. And I gave him, was it the crew? I'm trying to think. It was no. I hadn't quite decided on the relic I was going to give him. He's actually got a couple of nice ones, to be fair. But I'll think about that one before I make a final decision. I've got a Primaris captain with relic storm shield and mastercrafted power sword.
Yep.
And I have put a Tech Marine in, who has been upgraded to a Master of the Forge. Oh, also the chaplain was upgraded to a Master of Sanctity, by the way, as well. Sorry, I should mention that. The reason I've done that with the Tech Marine is it does give vehicles you can basically elect a vehicle and say, I want you to have +1 to hit on your hits for this phase, which is quite nice because it means obviously typically Space Marine vehicles will be hitting on 2s, which is very cool. I then went with 4 squads of assault intercessors, but only 5-man squads because I was trying to keep it. I don't want to. I always found, I think with match play, you can there's a few things for like leadership bits and pieces, as well, isn't there? And I was trying to limit what could be kind of taken out of that, or I don't know. Is there? I can't remember if there's a load of ones where they got kills with higher amounts of models in it on 10-man units or something.
There was something. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, no, it's fine. But either way, but it's mainly because to be honest, obviously 5 Primaris is as good as 10 Tactical Marines or 10 Crusaders because they're the same amount of wounds. So.
Although to be fair, the secondary objectives are probably changing, aren't they?
They are indeed. I did watch a couple of videos on this, and I realised actually it's not much point because they will be changing in a few weeks' time. Anyway, so I then added into my elite section 6 Blade Guard veterans and 2 squads of 3.
Nice.
With a Primaris Apothecary, who's been upgraded to a Chief Apothecary. which I'm looking forward to fielding because obviously that's one of the models I painted up recently. And that's the elite section kind of filled out. Oh no, sorry, actually including that there were some Vanguard veterans as well with jump packs. With the sorted weaponry, I haven't quite finalised what they're going to have. And then I decided, after the game I had at the weekend, using the Vindicator laser destroyers, I thought I'd try them out properly. So I've got one at the moment. I'm going to pick up 2 more. I'm going to have 3 Vindicator laser destroyers on my backline with the Tech Marine. That's the idea. So he'll be able to repair them, but also give one of them a hitting on 2s buff, which I think sounds quite interesting. But I'll have to give it a bit of a trial out and see how we get on with it. So yeah, that's kind of yeah. I mean, I just want to try out something a bit different because there's a lot of lists out there which are using Blade Guard veterans, Vanguard veterans, which are very good. I would have probably surmised because especially I've been following Implausible Nature's channel a little bit because he does he's exclusively focused on Templar stuff. And some of the stuff he didn't unfortunately go over the Forge World unit, so I don't know how they think those stack up against some of the other choices. But I think it's a pretty cool. What's that to say? Thought you could only take. I don't think it matters as long as you don't take the same upgrade, as far as I'm aware.
It's a Space Marine thing. I don't know.
I will check. I don't think.
Have a look.
But Peter, I don't believe it matters unless you try and take 2 of the same one. I'm pretty sure you can only have 1 of each type. So you can have 1 Master of Sanctity, 1 Chief Apothecary, 1 Master of the Forge. But yeah, other than that, there is a limit. But it's always interesting to see if someone mentions something that I can.
Yeah, I'm not fortunate enough to have a fancy 9th edition Chaos Space Marine Codex. So I wouldn't be able to,
Here he goes.
I wouldn't be able to have a look at any of those details if they transitioned across to Chaos. I mean, we could be waiting a couple more years, to be honest, until we get our Codex.
I hope not, because obviously having one myself, as in the Chaos Army. Let's have a look here. All it says is you cannot upgrade name characters using these rules. An army and a crusade force, obviously separate things, cannot contain more than 1 model from the same chapter that has the same chapter keyword. So you cannot contain 2 Ultramarine chapter masters, 2 chief librarians, 2 black. So yeah, you can have, as long as you don't go over the 1 of each. That's fine. Yeah, that's what I thought it was. So. In answer to your question, Peter, no, it's not a problem as long as you keep it with 1 of each type. Don't try and have 2 of each one. So, I'm not quite sure where you got that one from, but yes, whoever you got that from was wrong. And Mr. Blue saying, I've already played my first and last game of Apocalypse Rules. It's funny how that happens, isn't it, Dom?
Peculiar, Thomas, peculiar.
It's large 9th edition. Maybe with the 9th edition power creep, the Imperial guys will win for once. They are 0-3 for Apocalypse. Oh, fair enough. I mean, mine Dom's games are normally quite even, to be fair, but I don't know if that's more to do with how we play rather than necessarily the rules.
I don't think the last game we played, we just upped the wounds on the Chaos Space Marines.
Yes, because it made sense, didn't it, at the time?
I mean, that's something. That's one element, isn't it? It's not a massive factor because we'll see how the rest of the Chaos Space Marine Codex actually goes.
Yes, we don't. We just don't know, do we? So.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll be finding out, I think, fairly shortly, actually, because not about the wounds, but about the rules and stuff, because obviously they're coming out soon, aren't they? I think is it this weekend? I think you can pre-order the new match play rules, can't you? Actually.
I think so. Yep.
Yeah. But yes, pockets wise, I agree with you, Mr. Blue. Yeah, I think you probably know enough about us two that we probably both agree with you on that one. We tried the pockets rule set, and I think they dropped the ball on it personally.
Yeah, they've kind of left it hanging now, haven't they? Which is a bit of a shame because for us. Apocalypse is a major thing, and I mean, a lot of you out there, it's just a shame when your game is tarnished by that rule set.
Yeah,
and you have to kind of go, it's Apocalypse, but it's not Apocalypse.
No, I think unfortunately, as much as obviously Games Workshop has done a lot of things right in the last few years, I think they've really really, especially for 40k, they've really keyed in onto the tournament setting, in my opinion. And I know you can kind of say, oh, but they do Crusade and all this kind of stuff. I still think there's not enough that to offset the amount of time that's been dedicated to tournament scene and match play, which is fine because I suppose it's a big part of it. But then saying
I
that,
don't know, to be honest. I think the thing is, Games Workshop have released so much
yes,
over the last, the last few years. They're just constantly just hammering it out. And you kind of, if you took everything they've done through for Crusades,
yeah,
and all these packs and stuff, and you put that back a few years, you could probably say the other way around. You probably go, "Wow, look, they're doing all this stuff on there." But I think they've definitely zoned in on that tournament scene that I think for a long time
yeah,
was kind of run independently.
and
Obviously
welcome down.
independent. So I think that's essentially what they've done. But I wouldn't say they're putting a more emphasis on that at the moment.
Okay, I mean, I think there's more focus on it, in my opinion, and I think that's where the effort's gone. I think because while Crusade looks very interesting, it is literally a few pages in comparison. When you think about the additional content that's been released for,
Yeah, I think the thing is like your normal match play is your standard 40k, isn't it?
yeah.
Just
Oh,
normal match
yeah,
play. Yeah, and it's very the line is pretty blurred, isn't it, between a competitive scene and normal match play, where narrative and open play is a little bit more open to interpretation, I think. And I think, yeah. I just think the amount of stuff they're releasing at the moment, it can look that way, can't it?
yeah. And yes, Mr. B, there probably is a link with that, I suspect. Although I don't really blame him for it, to be honest. I mean, the thing is, I still enjoy going to a tournament. Don't get me wrong. I'm not ragging on that particular aspect of it. It's nice to have balanced rules. But it's a shame that you see things like Apocalypse fall a little bit by the wayside because they obviously released that back a little while ago, and the thing is because they've basically pulled Apocalypse out of the main rule set, they don't really have to worry about it. Which is I think was possibly the plan overall because it means they don't have to worry about that rule set every time they update a codex or you know because actually think about it, there's been no changes to that since it came out.
No,
Um,
definitely. It's
so
pretty much remained kind of in a holding position, hasn't it? Nothing's really
exactly,
changed for Apocalypse.
no,
Um, However, you got other games as well, like
of course, of
things
course,
like Kill Team, for instance. Like Kill Team that had their prior Nexus, wasn't it?
yes,
But that is essentially just sell some new models. It wasn't really kind
yeah,
of doing
it's
anything revolutionary with that game. And I think Kill Team is kind of one of those ones where they've kind of missed the ball a little bit, especially on the competitive front. If they wanted a
yeah.
competitive game, like Kill Team would be perfect. You just get your little mat out and you do it. And I think they tried it, didn't they, with Kill Team's Arena?
Yeah,
Uh,
I think that's fair. Yeah, and I think
yeah, they tried, didn't they? And it just kind of went, yeah, it's good. And it's just that opportunity's there for that a massive competitive scene. But it's just gone now. We'll leave it for now.
and
Because how easy would it be, Tom, to just go, I'm doing a kill team event. I need maybe a squad of models.
yeah,
And then I'm done.
exactly. No, I must admit, I think we all tried it. To be fair, it just didn't quite. It didn't quite gel for me. But I don't know if that's because I just prefer to play larger scale games at the moment. I mean, it might change, but it was interesting because I actually, as you know, I tried out. What was the AOS equivalent? They changed it a couple of times, haven't they?
Well, not the equivalent of kill team, though, isn't it? It's,
No,
yeah.
but the skirmish one, like it's warband, isn't it, and stuff like that.
It's not Warcry. You mean the other thing?
Yes. Yeah, I'm trying. I can't remember the name of it now. Shadespire.
Yeah.
Shadespire.
It's not called Shadespire, but it's known as
Underworlds.
Yeah.
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 But see that, and I think with that they kind of got a very nice balance on that game. I actually quite enjoyed playing that.
Mm.
And I could have, if it was a focus on me wanting to play those kind of models and that kind of game scene, I probably would have gone with that quite happily because the games are quick, they're quite fluid, the rules are simple, but it's also got a bit of depth in it with collecting how your deck works and all that kind of stuff. So I can see the appeal there. It's very similar to I think Necromunda. Again, I think I like the idea of Necromunda, but playing a game of Necromunda, in my opinion, because of I suppose the board setups you want for it. you want something pretty cool to play that on, don't you? Let's be honest.
Yeah, I think it's one of those games, isn't it? Like, I don't know, how much do you think? This is one for the chat. How much do you think you guys spend on an army, and then how much do you think you spend on a board and a
yeah.
terrain setup? Really, because yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from. But a Necromunda gang is £20 to £30 if you wanted one,
Of
let's say.
course. Yeah.
And then how much is the board and all the terrain and all that going to cost you
That's
in
probably going to cost more than
comparison?
the army,
Yeah, and I don't know.
which is interesting. Yeah, it's
I
an
like the
interesting
idea
perspective.
of
Yeah.
Necromunda, and I think you're kind of looking at it for a different game of sorts.
Yeah.
Where 40k is 40k, isn't it? Where Necromunda is a bit more narrative, a bit more of a story and a campaign around it. So it's interesting point of view though, Tom.
But the
Because the
question,
Necromunda
but the
terrain
question is,
isn't
mate.
cheap.
Ultimately, the question I give you is how many games of Necromunda have you played since it came out?
Well, I haven't got the rules.
That's kind of my point. If it was that
If you've got the
interesting,
rules,
I've
I
got
would
them.
play it.
You know, I've got them. I bought.
Oh, let's play
yeah.
it.
Yeah. We
You
say
don't want
that.
to play it, do you?
We
I don't know what to play against.
I'm just
The
returning.
only person who has got the rules, he refuses to play.
I've just returned the favour from a few years ago when I collected this little Escher gang, and suddenly everyone stopped playing. But it's fine.
Unbelievable. But no, I'm definitely interested in it. If
Yeah.
people are actively playing it, I would definitely take part in it.
I know. So,
Because I think really for myself, it was like with lockdown, it emphasised myself the importance of having these small skirmish-based games.
mhm.
Like I even asked you for the kill team rules at one point, and I was like, I just need someone to play. I just want to play a few models. So yeah, I think there is a bit more of a market there.
So Jack was just saying it depends on your local scene really. I think we see a lot of tournament stuff or general 40k games, but locally loads of people near me like Kill Team and Necromunda both being there. Yeah, I mean the other thing with Kill Team and Necromunda and all those kind of games is that if you go into a gaming club, it's much easier to fit in a game of that than to sit there and play 3 to 4 hours of 40k.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. No matter how you try it, a 1500 2000 point game can take up to 3 hours. It's
a long time.
It's not. They obviously they put in the book. Oh, this is the ideal time you should play this, and this. But it never works out that way. Because the other thing is when you're playing with a mate, you don't focus solely on the game. You're sitting there having a laugh. You might go and get a couple of drinks, and then that kind of slows you down a bit because you got a bit drunk.
But like, for instance, get to go back to Kill Team. Like we played a bit of Kill Team together, and I personally really enjoyed it.
I didn't mind it.
But once again, it's one of those games that if people aren't invested in it, it's
no point.
It's hard to get into, isn't it? Because people are just like, no, I want to play this, and you're like, well, I do like 40k, so let's play 40k. But I think like Jack's saying, it's about like the size of the groups as well. Like if you went to a local club and people are playing Necromunda or Kill Team, you go, oh cool, I'll join in. I'll bring a few models.
Of course.
But at the same time, if you're into your 40k and you want to do like events, there's a lot more 40k events than there are Kill Team events.
100%. I mean, it's almost like you need enough room to sort of run one on the side, Dom. There you
go. Yes. Seems to be a lot of role play gamers that get into Necromunda from what I've seen. Yeah, I know a couple of people personally who have gone towards the skirmish games more than the big. Because it's, like I said, if you're not buying the board and you know someone with the board, it's a very cheap investment. It's a bit like Blood Bowl in that aspect, I suppose.
You just need a map with Blood Bowl, don't you? It's simple.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, it's a space thing as well. If you want to keep space usage to a minimum, little games like that, that's a shelf on your bookcase. It's not like it's like with us where we've had to invest in multiple cupboards. I mean, you can't see Dom's full insanity there because it's all under his desk, but the amount of space it takes to store all of the models and stuff, it's a lot of additional space you have to sort of take into consideration. And a lot of people don't have the luxury of saying, oh, I'm just going to dedicate this entire storage floor to all of my 40k stuff. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's a very valid point. Like, previously, I'm quite fortunate now, but previously when I was in a flat, just have a cupboard, and you're trying to just ram everything into the cupboard, and then you'd maybe have a secret army somewhere else that you don't tell anyone about.
Secret army for reasons.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so 40k is a massive investment, and I think like the the reason they've shrunk the boards as well is to get events with more tables in,
Yeah.
because it's 6x4. Like we've seen it when we're running events, you've got a massive hall, but somehow you still can't fit as many boards in there as you want
No.
because you've got to put them in, and especially now with the element of distancing. Even though it's been eased in the UK, it's still something you've got to keep in mind.
I mean, they've still got the 1 meter one in at the moment, so it's kind of
Mm.
it's not it's not practical just yet, is it? Really? I mean, we're obviously we're looking at hopefully hosting an event in November, but we're still kind of a little bit waiting on what we can and can't do.
Yeah.
But that'll happen. So we've got so range 85. I think if I did Necromunda, I would feel more inclined to spend more time painting the few models than the amount of time I spend on 40. Yeah, that's another fair point. I think that's purely down to an intimidation thing. I think really when you buy, I think everyone's guilty in 40k when you sort of get into an army. Yeah, I mean I've done this. I'm sure Dom's done it. You kind of go, oh, that new box set's come out. I better buy 5 of them, and then you get them all out, and then you're like, oh yeah, I've got to paint them now.
Yeah.
And it's very,
Yeah.
so, I mean, obviously, 5 was an exaggeration. Obviously, me and Dom tend to buy 1 each because we not when we can because he has half he wants and I have half I want. And I think we've been quite lucky to be fair, the last few years that they've
The
had
last couple, we've been
yeah,
very fortunate, haven't we? With Shadow Spear
and the main box set.
The new one,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And I think before that, with the other one was also
I was close. I
yeah.
have taken aspects of that other one with the Death Guard.
Mm.
And yeah, that's the thing though, isn't it? If you know someone of the other faction, like I think Dave Holland's in the chat tonight.
Yeah.
We did the same with Sisters of Battle and Drakari.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, yep, let's split it. Let's do it.
It's also handy if someone wants to start an army. I think it's nice to sort of say, oh here's a sizable force for you to start with. But again, if you suddenly go, oh, got to paint it all. Oh, what? And then also if you're just starting one, that's really intimidating because you're like, oh, I've got to get spray paint, I've got to get brushes, I've got 50 models to paint, all this kind of stuff. Oh, hello. I'm going to go through these in order because I want to be fair. So Vanguard Wargaming says, "Hey, how's it going today? Finally able to watch the live stream again. Well, thank you for joining us, Vanguard Wargaming. Hope you enjoy the stream."
Welcome, Vanguard.
John Doe says, "Armies, we buy armies. Yes, we do. That is very true." Jack says, "Shut your filthy mouth, Tom. I never only buy and get phased by my purchases." Okay, all right. We know you don't. Range 85 says, I have models to paint, but really need to buy a guard force. Yeah, I know that feeling. I need to buy 2 more Vindicators for my Black Templars.
Forge World Vindicator.
Even though my last Black Templar video just showed you other models I was painting for them.
Yeah, and that's a hard thing for me at the moment. I'm literally like, so with my Necron Force, I've almost my if we had a game, I could do an unpainted, 99% painted army.
That's cool.
Which might be a good idea off camera to try that out, Tom. By the way.
Yeah, sure.
But then at the same time, you just come to like, oh, well, yeah, that's come out. I'm going to use that at some point. I might as well buy one now. And I'm just holding back and going, no, I don't need it now. I can wait. I've got lots of other things to paint. Get on with.
That is desperately what I'm trying to do. However, when tournaments come and you want to try something out as well, that's another really bad thing to have in your head. You're very much like, I mean, luckily, as I was saying to you the other day, the Vindicator Destroyer is actually one of the slightly on the cheaper end of 4-drop models. I say cheaper, I mean it's still 58 quid, but
yeah. Well, in comparison, that is the cheap end. Isn't it?
It is not bad for what you're getting. Sorry, Range 85 says, I have models to paint, but I really need... Oh, yeah, sorry, I read that one already. Peter Higgins, I love starting armies. Finishing... Yeah, exactly. I think everyone in here is kind of on a similar wavelength. And we've got Kieran Ashdown. Evening, guys. Sorry not being around much. It's fine, man. We honestly... If everyone gets busy, as long as you come back and say hello, that's all we really care about. You could come back 5 years later... And we would still remember.
Just like to know you're all okay.
Exactly.
That's the main
it's
thing.
all good. Thank you for coming back and joining us. And also thanks for having a chat. Range 85 says, Forge Rod is glorious. It is.
It is, yeah. I'll tell you a good way of doing a 40k army is doing a Crusade Force, because it's very controlled. That we've gone 500 points, buff, paint it, done it. We're going to play some games, good. And then after a while, we'll go 1,000, blah, 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 blah. So rather than going, I want 2,000 points, and then playing a couple of games and realizing that, this isn't what I want. I'm going to go out and buy this and change that. And then go, no, that didn't work either. I need to get something else.
I think you got. I think you had to be so careful with that. I think. I mean, obviously, I know I've been guilty of that over the years, where you have a game, you get really disheartened with how the army performs, because I think when you're building an army, you build up this kind of image of how you see it working, and when it doesn't work the way you want it to, it can be, in my opinion, it can be quite crushing for a wargamer. I think, especially if you spent the time to paint them up as well and get it all ready, and you're like, I'm gonna. I mean, both you and me have gone to tournaments with lists that we think, yeah, this will be brilliant, and it's like, oh my god, what have we done?
On the bottom table, then, yes, we are.
You were sitting there going, what have we done?
And the thing is, as well, like the meta at the moment isn't changing as rapidly as it has done in the past. But if you want to be relatively competitive, you take this list that you think might be good, and then bam, it will change. Especially if you're trying to change the meta, it's going to change, and your investments are going to go, right, I need to go get something else now. Like, your old Leviathan with the old what's it called?
Dual storm cannons.
Yeah, storm cannons.
Sorry, I don't know why I'm going like this. It's rather bizarre. That far apart? That's weird, Dom. I'm sorry, mate.
Yeah.
So what we're going to say, Jack was saying we should do a. Now, you see, we could do something like that. We could do a Discord Crusade Army for the actual Discord, couldn't we? Where we give everyone, we say this is the number of points you've got to collect this month, or whatever it is, and then everyone goes out, gets what they want, plays it. Yeah. I think that'd be quite cool. We'll have a think about that, Jack. We'll have a little. We'll maybe, because obviously it's very similar to what I'm doing with my Chaos Army. I'm only doing one thing at a time, and that's working really well because I've finished both those models, and they're actually to a good standard, which is what I'm really happy about. I'm about to buy the third one this Friday on payday. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to doing that. So yeah, but we could maybe have a think about that.
Yeah, if people wanted to do that, we could kind of do it a bit more random, like we did for my little Crusade group. That you'd be essentially selected a faction to collect, and it's down to you to be honest about it. But then to start a faction, like an Imperial faction that you currently don't have. So you've got Space Marines, you've got Guard. You might go, well, I haven't got Custodes yet, so I'm going to do Custodes, and then collect 500 points of Custodes. So 3 models later, you're done.
Yeah. Sorry, so Vanguard Wargaming says, what? People not finishing armies? Unheard of. Totally. Don't have 800 points of Word Bearers, 600 points of Craft. It's alright, I know. We know. We get this. It happens. Sometimes it happens by accident. Sometimes it happens on purpose. Sometimes you're sitting there going, why is my chair made out of models?
The legs of Tom's chair broke a long time ago. It's currently held up with several things.
4 Bloodthirsters. Range 85. By the way, guys, a friend of mine found a Terminus Ultra. I bought it and I'm currently fixing and repairing it with 8. Yes, that's. Although I don't want to be the bad news range. Obviously, I hope you play Legends because I believe that's in the Legends now. I think I'm sad to say it's not a matter. Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't matter. It's a cool model. So it's quite a rare one that as well now because I don't think you can buy it anymore. I think they dropped it in.
Yeah, they did, and the Command Rhino as well, didn't they?
Which I thought was a very odd decision, considering it was quite a.
Yeah, it's a bit frustrating when a unit or an army of yours gets legendified.
I always kind of wish that. Yeah, sorry, Dom. Entire army in his case is fine.
Got my little Ogrin here, my little Oglin with a cattle prod.
I think it's annoying that they're still selling them, aren't they?
No, don't sell them anymore.
They don't sell them. They have gone. That was in the last set. Okay,
that's wrong. You can get the odd one where they've kind of got like a crew member, but essentially the rest, the whole.
Right. Anyway, because we need to get on with the.
It makes me sad thinking about it, Tom.
I'm going to pull you away. We're going to look at the challenges. We're going to look at the challenge. Okay. So anyway, we only have 4 this week, which is fine. I wasn't sure how well this challenge would go down. I think Some of the entries you had are very nice, so that's all good. And so yeah, I mean, I'm just checking that I haven't got this all. Oh no, that's not what I'm looking for. Okay, that's done. Okay, I'm ready to go when you are, Dom. I might need a hand knowing whose is whose because I can't quite remember a couple of them.
Yeah, no problem, mate. No problem. Let me just
Do
find
you want to be ready
something.
before I start putting them up?
Yep.
So anyway,
Oh!
well done for finding that. Obviously, this week's one was about possession, or the possession of something kind of forcefully, to try and say like either demon possession,
Hello.
remote control, something taking control of something else that they shouldn't do in whatever universe you're looking in. It's fine, it doesn't matter. And it was quite, in my opinion, it was quite a tough one, but one that could be quite, I suppose, experimented with a little bit. And we've had a couple of interesting entries, to say the least. Of some,
They're all Warhammer 40,000 this time.
they are indeed.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So, shall we have a little butchers?
So numero uno is coming up now. Bop. So you see that?
Here we go.
You wait. Dom has to wait because he has to see it on the other stream because we're not in the same room, obviously.
We are. We just decorate the rooms and change the lighting.
Change the lighting. It's fine. We're actually back to back. You just can't see. I've got a green screen behind me showing me a different room. Have you got something, Dom? Anyway, this is one with a psycho trying to possess a guardsman.
Right. Okay, I know this one.
Yes.
So this is from, I believe, Range. Might be wrong. Yeah. So yeah, it's quite a nice one. I'm just going to go for these images here I've got here.
Yes.
So it's a great idea he's got here with the traitor guardsman Psyker using his mind powers on a poor loyal Canadian guardsman. He's suffered enough this planet blowing up, and suddenly now he's got to put up with being kind of
mind controlled
all over the place. Yeah, exactly, by some sinister renegade Psyker. So yeah, no, I love the whole idea behind this because it's something a bit different. Like you went with the theme, gone out and actually modelled 2 models for this. Quite interested to see how you've achieved the purple beams, purple kind of, you know what I mean, psychic powerness kind of coming out of his fingers. I don't know. He's in the chat, isn't he?
Nice coat as well.
That's the that's the Militarum Tempestus.
The old trench coat.
Yes. Yeah, you can hide all sorts in there. I've seen that coat used with a stack of Nurglings. Like they've got Nurglings on the inside of the coat. I thought that was quite cool. Yeah, no, really nice. What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, just to echo kind of what you're saying, but I love the idea behind it. It looks fantastic to sort of have I'm going to take your mind and actually see a representation of it, because I think that's one of the that's quite a hard thing with psychic powers. Representing them in a 40k universe on the board is actually quite difficult to do, because typically they're not really seen. You see what I mean? So obviously I get the idea what we're doing here, which is perfect. So yeah, it's a good effort.
Yes, lovely. Which one are you going with next, Tom? Just so I can get the picture up.
Well, this should be a chained thing, writhing in pain and suffering. A chain, as in like kind of covered in chains and tied up, trying to escape its bonds.
Hello. Yeah, I'm trying to think of the name of this one. This is from Captain Jack, anyway.
Is it Captain Jack? It's a demon host. Sorry, I didn't want to say.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Is it up?
It is now. It is now, yes.
Do you want to go first on this one then?
Yeah, sure. So, I'm just going to bring up my bigger image so I can actually sort of look at it again. So this is, I mean, odd. Personally, I've always found this model a bit odd. I don't know about you.
I found it arousing.
This is obviously, this model's quite an old one, really, in general. I don't think they've ever done an update to the Demon Host one that I'm aware of, for a very, very long time. But I think you've done a really cool job on this, Jack. So I love the fact that we've got. I mean, it's a really hard one to describe because it literally is chains with a body inside it. If that's all you can kind of say about it. It's really, and obviously I think demon hosts are always this kind of thing where they're supposed to have something obviously inside them. They know they're chained and released at a time when it suits the person who has the control to release them. Yeah, and then eventually they're releasing a demon in effect. But no, I really like the you got some good eyes on there, and some of my images got a bit funny. Yeah, and chains have been painted really well, and a nice base on there as well. And yeah, so over to you, mate. What do you think?
Yeah, it might be a bit of a cop out, but it's very similar to what you said there. I mean, what I quite like about this model is it definitely captures an era in Games Workshop where that was, essentially your possessed models were very reminiscent of this, having the particular horns and stuff on there.
Yeah.
And I think it's a nice kind of like benchmark within that particular range. And I would like to see GW release a new one. Like I say, I've never actually seen one on the battlefield or in someone's collection. I've always been aware of it, but it's quite a disturbing model. So I mean, well done, Jack, for actually.
You've made it look disturbing, which is good.
Well, making it look disturbing, but actually having one for starters, digging it out and actually painting it. I kind of like to think that we are responsible for Jack painting this, because it's not necessarily one that I would go out my way and go, I really fancy painting that really awkward model with all those strange details. And Jack, really good job on this. Really nice.
Yes.
Well done.
Well done, mate. Well done. So next up, let's go with Gavin's one.
The old Gavlar.
Which I believe is a Hellbrute.
It is a Hellbrute, Tom. Yes.
Now, obviously, Hellbrutes are possessed by demons, so this is fine, a fine entry. And
sneaks under the sneaks in there.
Yes. You can. Do you want to start on this one?
Yeah, I'll go with this one. So Thousand Suns Hellbrute. So, if you're going to get put into a machine and be possessed, Thousand Suns are probably one of the best. I mean, Word Bearers are the best. But Thousand Suns are definitely up there to get it done properly-ish. I mean, if you want it done properly, Word Bearers. But, yeah, it's a really nice model. I've got several of the single pose ones that you could get, the snap fit ones. But this one is just really nice. As always, Gavin's done a great job painting it.
Indeed. Lovely base.
Nice, and very kind of tidy and sharp, which I think is quite important. Lots of emphasis there, like around the blue, a good bit of highlighting, and as of yet, no weathering, which is a nice choice really, to have a nice shiny one, very kind of similar to his Thousand Sun Army.
Yeah, no, I think the way he's done it is very much in keeping with his current theme, and I think, to be honest, I think it works with Thousand Suns anyway, because I think they are typically quite a shiny, clean looking Chaos Army. Personally, I think they had that look. I mean, actually, odd enough, I think when you go back to the 30k era, they were typically very, obviously even their red, they were very, it typically was very shiny, kind of reflective red, like proper polished metal. It was like, that's kind of their look. So I think it lends it to itself, but really nice job on it, man. If you are in chat, Gavin, he's actually, I think, I'm trying to think what he was bringing. I think he is bringing these down on Saturday, actually.
Oh, nice.
For a game, we're going to do Grey Knights versus Thousand Suns.
Oh, okay, that could be interesting. So, not like your other game when it was Black Templars versus Thousand Suns.
It's a bit more Psyker on Psyker, but both 8th edition codex. So we're trying to keep it 8th edition codexes for 9th, because I think, as we know, it can be a bit silly when the tables are kind of flipped the other way. But no, looking forward to having these on the board. So you'll be seeing a lot more of these guys here. So, but anyway, Gavin, well done. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well done.
And
then we've got Aaron.
We have Aaron's, yes, which hopefully comes out all right. Yep, that's good. There we go. So yes, I'll kick off on here. Now, I think you get to sort of look at this one and say who's in control here, and I think we know who it is. It's the Grot. I believe he is controlling the poor orc down there. I'm not quite sure.
He's called it a runt bot.
A runt bot. Do you know what? That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that. They should make them.
Yeah.
I think that would be actually a cool addition to the actual 40k range of runt bot. So Aaron, that looks great. I love I do love the paint scheme on these as well because it's just it it's so it's I mean, I'm not trying to put this negative. It's quite a dull color scheme, but at the same time, it has a very nice aesthetic to it overall, and the highlighting on it's really really cool. And I love the fact that the grot's the bit that's standing out at the top, with his little joystick. He's sort of just going, "Why are we going this way now, mate?"
Wiggling it around as always.
Yeah. And I assume it has several fire buttons on it. For its various for its power claw and the pintle mounted bolt gun up there. So and I love the base. I think the base is especially good on this actually. I don't know what it is. It really suits. It's almost camouflaged. If that, you know what I mean. It's got that kind of
fits the model quite nicely, doesn't it? Well, as he drinks, I'll carry. I'll take over now. You have a drink. So yeah, like you're saying, I'm gonna start at the base, work my way up. So I think sometimes when we're doing models, it's nice to have a contrast, isn't it, on the base to the model? Although on this case, it kind of merges in, and I think it really just suits it quite nicely.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So, there's a few bits of detail on there, not too much. It's not too busy, but it's a nice base nonetheless. And then there's all these tiny little details on the paintwork as well. Lots of weathering going on. Big fan of weathering, and Aaron's when he does his orc models, he really kind of does really well on the kind of the metal weathering on there.
Yeah.
I'm not actually sure about the model, like where it's come from. Maybe it's a Forge World wing. I don't think it is.
I don't recognise it as
Cromlech, maybe.
Yeah, I don't recognise it as Games Workshop, but prove us wrong, please.
Yeah, but it's really nice kind of like metallic-y purple, isn't it? Almost.
Yeah, I think that it kind of has that kind of off shade on there, definitely. So.
Yeah, and then the grot just is a nice little piece on top, just different surfaces.
That's why we haven't seen it. It was a Forge World Games Day exclusive.
Oh, nice. Well, yeah, I appreciate Aaron actually using one for his painting challenge.
Well, I hope you've seen Vanguard. No. Good job getting the COVID shot. Sorry, just had to point that out. That's
nice. Have fun, Vanguard.
A bit of conversion work on that, yes, of course. But no, really good job, Aaron. Anyway.
And also on a side note, almost typical of Aaron, he did cut himself while making this model. I'm starting to think he's almost like a warpsmith, where he thinks he has to put a bit of blood or
he likes corn
into the models. Yeah, he likes corn, exactly. A well-eaten warpsmith, Aaron.
I'll drop that off.
So Tom. I can't see when you're going to pop up the winner.
It's fine.
So I will go by your reaction, and I'll let you talk about this one.
No.
So Tom,
yes.
Would you like to cut the ribbon and then announce the winner?
I am clicking it right now. So the winner of this one is Aaron with his Runtbot. Which we were very, very pleased with. It looks very cool, and I can see there's a lot of effort gone into the conversion and the paint job. So really well done on that, my friend. Not really much I say because we've kind of gone through the model already, but just keep up the good work, all of you.
Yeah, good entries as well, everyone. Nice. They're all a little bit different, and really.
And obviously,
nice.
I think actually it's quite nice to throw in curveballs like that one just to make people think about the model as well a bit, because it's nice to see what people come up with. Because obviously I think that was, in my opinion, that was quite a tough one, and I can understand why maybe not a lot of people got very involved with it. I know a couple of, I think was it Mike and Orcs were both a bit short on finishing theirs, weren't they?
Yeah. And I like to think, like, how many painting challenges we've done now. So how many models, Tom, are we responsible?
Well, if we've done 50, if we've done this many episodes and then halve it, we can have a rough guesstimate.
Exactly. Yeah, we've birthed these models onto the battlefield. You and me are responsible for this, not them painting them. Us giving them the idea and the motivation. So, next painting challenge, ladies and gentlemen. We want you guys to paint a form of transport. So this can be anything from your standard Space Marine Rhino to an attack bike. Could be a Storm Raven, could be an Orc buggy. Essentially, a form of transport to getting across the battlefield.
Even discs, like Zinch discs.
Even discs. Yeah. Just don't use your feet. So a transport, any game system, as always, any model range needs to be some
What about
form
feet
of transport.
with wheels on it?
Stomper, I suppose. I don't know if anyone's brave
Roller
enough
skates?
to do it. Okay, well, let's start ignoring some of these things here. We'll go with transport. You've got 2 weeks to come up with something. And of course, it's all on our Discord. So if you haven't joined our Discord, come along. Tom's put a link out there. Make sure you come and join the party, join the family. And we have a channel on there for painting challenges. Make sure you join up, you go in there, and you share your stuff.
You get
It's all very
involved.
friendly, and it's really good fun. And it'd be
Really
nice to see,
friendly. Sorry.
it'd be nice to see some of you other people who haven't done it yet join in, do something a bit different. Like we saw Gavin, he's put a Hellbrute in. Maybe next time he wants to put a disc in, or someone else wants to do something. Tom, don't you dare. So go for it, guys. I'll put the spiel up in the painting challenge later, and you guys can go for gold on that one. That'd be quite nice.
Yeah.
So that's the painting challenge done. Shall we talk about what I think is an interesting topic? Warhammer Plus. What do you think?
Okay.
Go for it, Tom. Let's hear what
you
you
know me.
got.
You know me. I like to sort of.
I do know you.
I take both sides of the argument. So it's now. I like the fact that they're doing their own thing.
Yep.
Do I think they've got enough content to maintain a subscription service? I am not sure.
Yeah.
That is.
How many have been announced, by the way?
Well, they had a load of studios that were announced, didn't they? Because it's not the individual series. I think they had about 12 different series. But obviously, it does depend on how many episodes they've got produced of them. How dedicated all the people that are doing it are. Because obviously, I suppose the thing you got to take into account is some of these guys they've actually just taken from essentially YouTube videos and dumped them onto doing dedicated series. And I'm sure they're getting a backing of some description. But I mean, I think the interesting thing would be to see if they can keep up the content enough to make it worth a subscription. I mean, we don't know. They haven't said how much it's going to cost yet, have they?
Interested on that. Like, is it going to be rolled into something else?
I mean,
if you're already subscribing to something, would you get this free?
I would like to see it maybe linked with the Warhammer app. If you pay for the Warhammer app, you get it included with it. Because that would be good for two reasons. It would number one make payment easier, and number two, people would use the app potentially just because they've purchased access to the Plus store for the streaming. I mean, sorry, Pete. So Pete was just saying I don't know what it is yet. So if you go onto the Warhammer community webpage, there's actually they did a big reveal was it Saturday?
Yeah.
Saturday or Sunday, I think it was, where they go through all the stuff that is currently in the pipeline. The one they obviously the thing is, I think what worries me more is that the only one they've really shown any proper footage of is the Blood Angels one. We haven't seen anything else really yet. They've seen some tiny mini clips, but nothing kind of showing what's going to be in those films or series. Cause I assume that most of them are going to be series rather than films, because that's the only way they could even contemplate having a subscription service, in my opinion. You couldn't do it based just off films. I'm sure there'll be a few that come out as one-offs at some point. We didn't see mention of Eisenhorn though, which is interesting.
I think that's all because it's already been announced, hasn't it?
But you would have thought they would have included it.
Maybe the contract's already been signed and sealed and delivered, hasn't it? So maybe But my personal feeling on this is it's very short-sighted and greedy by Games Workshop. I'm not going to hold back on that one.
There you go.
Because it's essentially that you are paying Games Workshop once again for a subscription of some sort. Like, let's look at the digital codexes and rules. That really worked out well, didn't it? It's really short-sighted because it's such a massive kind of tool to bring people into the hobby. And who are they selling it to? Us. No one else. You're not going to be going into...
No, because no one's going to know about it, are they?
No. The only way you're going to know about it is if I went up to someone, one of my friends who doesn't play, and I went, oh, there's a really cool streaming service called Warhammer Plus. It's all about that stuff I play. And they're like, oh, that stuff you play, I've seen your stuff online. Okay, well, yeah, go watch that. And they're like, no, I'm not going to pay for it.
Who would?
It's a waste of time.
No,
if
I
they
agree.
went to Amazon or Netflix and went, this is it. Like they kind of did that Love and Robots thing on Netflix and kind of went, look, we've got, poof, done. There you go, have that. It would bring more people into the hobby and make the hobby even more acceptable for people who aren't involved in it. And it's just a massive shame. It literally is them just going, we can get more money out of this. The only positive it is, there's a couple of positives. One is that we get to see interpretation of what we love in an animated form, which is brilliant. That's great. Another one, like people kind of, this is where I sit on where the animators are, that it gives these animators that have been doing it
for free,
for the love of, free, a push and a bit of money for something they've already been doing. I'm not sure how much they're getting. Let's say it's not much, but it gives them the experience and it fills out their portfolio that they can go and do something else.
Yeah.
Well, that's a positive out of it. That's
but
what.
No, I must admit, I didn't come at it quite from an angle, but I agree with what you're saying as well. I honestly, I'm not that enthused about the whole thing, to be honest. I was, as you said, I was kind of hoping they were going to dump it onto an existing stream service and sell it as a, just sell it as a whatever, however they ever do it. You sell the content to the stream services, whatever. Obviously the problem with that is there comes with exclusivity things where they could say, well, we can only put it on one platform, and then knowing our luck, it'll probably go onto Apple TV, which would be great because neither of us have it. So, but it's like it's the same reason that I never bought the virtual codexes because the only decent ones were sadly on the Apple platform. And there's obviously a few court cases going on at the moment about certain things at the moment, so I won't go into too much. I won't say anything on my views on that one. But I do agree. I think they have missed a couple of opportunities in bringing a wider market. But also, I honestly don't think they've got enough content. I mean, you look at what Disney started with, a fresh streaming service. They had the back catalogue they had. It didn't matter if they didn't make anything for about 3 or 4 months. They had enough that people would not have got through it unless they were very dedicated. And it's the same that if you go onto Amazon Prime, they've got they've bought other companies which have got. And you think if they're going to charge, let's say even if they charge £6 a month, £5.99 a month, which is a very typical pricing service or whatever, I'm not sure I'd pay. I'm not actually sure I'd pay for it.
I would probably.
I might do one month. Yeah.
Yeah. You just go. I've got a couple of days off work. I'll sit here and just watch all of it, and it's over and done.
Yeah.
And you might even go to your mate. Oh, here's my login. Just watch it.
It's worth it for a five. It's only worth it for a five, and that's what I'm worried about. Because there's such potential, but as we know, they've always dropped the ball with the animated series. They always have. They're in my opinion, the last attempts they've had, especially like the Ultramarine movie and stuff like that, if you go anything by, was a very poor attempt at getting it right. And I honestly, I hope they prove me wrong. I'd like to see them do some interesting things with this because there's a lot of content in this arena that they could do a lot of stuff with. I just need 1 second, mate. I'll be back in 1 second.
You'll hear him. He's getting to the toilet. Guys, what are you actually working on while we wait for Tom? I am still. I'm rusting up this bad boy here. He's getting there. I kept his link separate, by the way. He's not stealth top. But he is getting there. What are you guys working on tonight? I don't think we actually asked at the beginning, which is a bit of a shame. So my apologies in advance. We really should have asked you guys what you're up to. But yeah, they're my views on the streaming service. I just think it's a little bit short-sighted, a bit greedy, that they didn't want to be giving another company the chance to show off these amazing animated series. But we can't have everything, can we? A heavy bolter carriers, nice. Are they good ones or welcome back?
Yeah. I'm not sure how many people enjoyed our chat there. We did seem to take a little subscriber dip after we started canning on the animation.
All the Games Workshop staff have just gone like, we can't get involved. We have got to go. We cannot comment.
But yeah. Anyway, are we done with that? Of a particular
Yeah,
line of conversation?
I think
I'm happy
it's
to
just
carry
a
on.
shame,
It's,
to be honest. I
yeah.
really, it's such a shame because I don't look. If I wanted to look really skeptical at it and be my skeptical self, I would say that they saw these animators online and they thought, it would be nice if they went, oh, we can help these people and we can bring something together that the community will enjoy, rather than them doing all this for free. Oh, we don't like free. And yeah, that's my kind of more skeptical look at this.
I mean, honestly, the talent they've brought from the Space Marine style of movies, they've obviously got the Astartes guy, and I think there's one other one. I'm trying to remember his name. I had to look it up.
I like the idea of the different animation types because what you've seen is a couple of different types, and I think that's brilliant. It's a bit different, isn't it? But
yeah, I agree. But I must confess, I'm not a huge fan of the Blood Angels art style for their animation.
yeah, I'm trying to think what the style's called.
But it's very dark, black and white in places. Obviously, they tend to take the reds and the bright lights and make them really like in your face. And personally, I feel that that's a cop out on doing a very high detailed movie. That's just my opinion, and I don't want to diss the artists and whoever's doing it all because it looks good. I just think it would look better in just a very nice, full HD / 4K, just something really detailed, because that's the thing that people want to see. They want to see this world in a really high detail. I mean, you go back a few years and you look at the things like the Inquisitor movie. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's not. I think they're still doing that one, but you look that in 4K. It looked. I mean, obviously the animation was a bit off, but I think that's just more down to experience and the people that were doing it. But the actual quality of the graphical work was amazing. Likewise the Horus Heresy one.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what that's called. The one with the word bearers.
Word bearers
it's kind of like the Shadow Crusade one, isn't
Dark
it?
Hope, something Hope, wasn't it?
Death of Hope.
Death of Hope. That was the one. That was brilliant. And but they kind of met in the middle on that one. They had really good art style.
Yeah. The only thing was the sound. The sound was terrible on that.
Yeah, because I think it was I don't think they had good audio. Good actors for the audio. So I think what typically the people tend to do with Space Marines in that particular situation is they go, "Well, just make it sound like it comes like a visor," and then it's like, no, you just they speak normally, and their voice is amplified. It's not distorted. It's amplified. They've got a normal voice which is amplified by a vox. And yes, it can be sort of loud and scary, but I just feel like it was, as you said, the quality wasn't quite there. But you imagine you get somebody who makes that kind of animation, and you add people on that can act like really, really well, voice acting.
You put money behind it,
you've got something. Yeah. Because in all seriousness, I think my ultimate cinema kind of like the thing that I'd love to see is I would love to see the Horus Heresy books brought to life in the big screen.
Because that would be amazing.
Because they lend it to it automatically. There's this, it's like Star Wars, it's like Star Trek, it's like fantasy as well, all mixed into one. Yeah, it's like you take Lord of the Rings and cross it with like Star Wars or Star Trek, and have this kind of sci-fi / fantasy world in a world that's and I think the thing about 40k, it's one of those things that if you think, let's go forward 50,000 years into the future, you could potentially see certain aspects of it happening because of the way that we act.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, so a positive we can take away from Warhammer Plus is that it gets closer to that dream of having a Horus Heresy series, that they will have this platform, and then eventually, it's not going to be for a long time, I don't think, but you could imagine that might be achievable at some point, that they might go, look at the success of this. We're doing really well. Animating's getting easier. It's looking better. We've got the writers that are on board with it more now, rather than kind of getting people writing a novel and suddenly got to write a screenplay.
But the fact is, the novel creates a bare bones for I say it's more than a bare bones for a screenplay, and some of the writing is fantastic, and it's just more. And luckily, and I'm sure people in the chat might correct me here, I think the majority of 40k writers are very much about the cinematic moments within their books already
Absolutely.
because of the way 40k
Absolutely.
is. It's just,
Mm.
it's like you could see. I was actually very surprised we haven't seen anything about a Gaunt's Ghost series. Little,
Yeah.
it's pretty much like redoing Sharp, but in the 41st millennium.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's getting closer though, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's
yes,
something
of
that could be
course, yeah.
happening in the next couple of years. That you might actually see something along those lines, like characters
Just,
that we've loved
it's a
come
shame
to
we
life.
can't have Sean Bean playing, but
Maybe we can. Maybe we'll get this Warhammer Plus. Games Workshop will still not spend the money and go to the local drama school. Uh,
they'll ask us
Who
to.
wants some
They'll go,
experience?
who are those two guys that were ragging on us? Right, I want them to.
And they're dead in the first scene.
Yeah.
Rippers everywhere.
Oh
And they're
my
like,
god!
"Ah!" Yeah, that'll teach them.
Either that or we'll play the Rippers.
What animated series would you guys like to see that Warhammer Plus could bring to life? Except for animated version of myself and Tom being eaten by Rippers.
I mean, we've already been obviously animated by Mr. John Scar. I've forgotten his second. Scriven. John Scrivens. That's the one. Down there. So we could have those characters brought to life and having an eternal fight in a Necron's cube.
Yeah. Oh, Kane, a bit of comic relief in 40k. Oh, yes, definitely. Commissar Kane. Nice. Man, I've got to get back on that at some point.
Do you know what, Jack? I forgot about that. You're quite right. You're quite right. I remember hearing that when I first watched that. Actually, I forgot completely about that. Gaunt's 95th Rifles? No.
No.
But yeah, but again, I think we've summed up quite a lot of that now. Anyway, it's very much. I think it's got so much potential. It would be very sad to see it wasted. Because I feel like whenever they do these kind of things, if it doesn't go well, they tend to put them to bed for quite a few years. If you think about when I mean, actually, the funny thing is, you look at the animation they did for the release of the Conquest, not Conquest, sorry, the Indomitus box set.
Yeah, the new
Yeah,
rule set, wasn't it?
yeah, when you with that Necron and Space Marine, that they just need to do something like that. That's what's so silly about it. Seeing a movie rendered that way, I think really works. With a bit of decent voice acting and a good storyline, even like a 30-minute an episode job on that one of those things would be brilliant. People would like to see, especially 40k universe, people like to see a bit of a battle, a little bit of intrigue maybe, but I mean intrigue in the 40k there's not a lot. I mean, we play this game to fight battles.
Yeah.
But that's kind of my point. People.
No, definitely.
So I think,
Yeah.
I think people will come to watch the same thing. I mean, if you could watch a movie where you brought one of our apocalypse games to life from a point of view of a battle going on, I mean, that would be really cool. Just seeing that. With a couple of characters that we've created in there, obviously like the Vulture, that old scumbag. Final scene, he pulls the power on his plasma pistol and blows himself up.
Or he flies off and survives another battle.
But the thing is, I think the other thing is you've got like the Space Marine battle novels, Hell's Reach, Rin's World, those was one-off shot like either series or a feature-length movie. I think they would work really well.
Absolutely, yeah. But we'll see what the future brings. But I just been just so short-sighted and greedy by Games Workshop. Like they want to get all the profit. They want to keep their own streaming service rather than sell it off to Amazon or Netflix and go, look, give us X for this short-term gain, isn't it?
Which is quite amusing.
But in the long term, people will come into the hobby because they'll watch it on their Amazon or their Netflix and go, oh, actually, I really like that. I'm going to watch some more of it, which will create demand for it. And as Games Workshop own the IP for a lot of this stuff, that's where it's going to come from. But they've kind of go, I have a streaming service that only people who play the hobby or the majority of the people that are going to be watching it will play the hobby.
Oh, Christ, we had a few little... Oh, yeah, something on the line... sorry, I was going to start from the top. So Jack said, I think the Blood Angels one was the first that GW said make it to Richard something. Yes, I believe he made the Hell's Reach one. And obviously, this is what I said. I have nothing against the way that it was, as in, like, the style of the art and things like that, because obviously his Hell's Reach thing, I watched that all the way through and I loved it. However, I think it's one of these things that when you get a bit of money behind it and you've got the time being invested in you completing it, there needs to be kind of a big upstep up in the level of quality as well.
Yeah.
I think that's just what was expected, especially with Games Workshop. It's kind of what you expect. And I'm not, and like I said, I'm not taking anything away from his art style. The art style is fantastic, but I feel it's kind of missed. I think they've missed it a little bit with the. I think people want to see. I think people are maybe fed up with seeing things through a kind of a filter about
I
the.
think people are
Yeah,
like, if you're going to pay for this
yeah,
service, and this doesn't take anything away from what people have produced
no,
and put up already, because it is amazing. But if you're going to pay for a service and people are employing these people to do it, you're going to hopefully getting a good level of animation, not just
yeah,
this is what I've done.
yeah.
It's that's what I hope. Like that Death of Hope, if they had some decent voice acting in it, brilliant.
Yeah.
But they didn't, because they didn't have the resources to do it. And hopefully Games Workshop would enable them to have those resources.
And so Peter was saying, I hope this is a springboard, and also that I hope GW give the animators some creative freedom. Yeah, I agree. I hope they give some creative freedom. I suspect they probably are, because if I'm totally honest, I'm not sure Games Workshop really knows a lot about that. As in the producing, the film stuff. That's why they've gone to them. I think that's the positive that you got to take from it. They've gone to them to find people that are already doing it to off their own back to a good level. And that's an important part of it, I think. Because you pluck someone out and say, oh, you've done a good job there. Let's bring you in and give you a bit of money, and then you can. Number one, we can give you the resources. Number two, you can teach us what you're doing, and vice versa. It's quite a nice trade-off, isn't it? So, then Azafel is saying something along the lines of 1917, the style of one of the continuous shot following a single guardsman. But see, that would be cool. Just imagine going through like Armageddon or something,
Yeah.
following a single guardsman through an entire engagement, and at the end he just dies.
But that's the thing, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
Things like this, it hopefully will be something they can achieve in a few years' time. I mean, at the moment they're going to start small and work their way up. But yeah, that's one thing to take from it.
And yes, Capture, I think you're right as well. I think it probably is the one that's the furthest along to completion. That's the one they first showed us. We've had no real other information other than some very broad clips. But considering they're releasing the service in, was it June or July? It was in the end. I can't remember the date they put on it.
Yeah, I'm not too sure.
I think it might have been July actually. Yeah, that's 2 months. It's not enough to get that. Again, it's not what I'm saying. It won't be worth the money for a repeat subscription. I'm pretty sure. For a one-off, like you said, for 1 month, you sort of go, well, give me something to watch in the evenings while I'm doing some 40k paying and stuff like that would be really cool. But doing a full-time production company,
yeah,
it's not an easy thing.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, we struggle getting out a 30-minute video every week.
We're not getting paid mega bucks like I'm sure these animators.
No, but it's just a very crude comparison to what I mean.
Yeah.
So long as they are better than most other games tie-ins, there aren't a lot of good. No, you're yeah, exactly. I mean, they will be. I think they will be generally a cut above the work. Yeah, a cut above the rest, because they have to be. If they're not, there's no point in them doing them. And I don't see Games Workshop being particularly forgiving if the series doesn't do well. Personally, I think it will be very much a kind of like this is very much what they've done with games. They've threw out the games license a few years ago and said, "Here you go on, everyone have a pop at it." And now you're starting to see the 40. But you're starting to see.
I get what you mean.
The games are coming out. You're starting to see the ones that are starting to say, "Okay, that's a good company. That's a good company. That's a good company." And I suspect what will eventually happen is they'll rescind that particular offer, and they'll give this contracts out to people that have actually made games that have actually made money. And unfortunately, from 40k point of view, I mean, you had Armada, you had the Vermintide series, which is now going to Dark Tide series. You've had Total War series, which has done very well. Ironically, the Total War series is based off a world they no longer have.
Moment.
Yeah, which just but you know what I mean.
Bringing it back. They're bringing it back, baby.
But
yeah, I can see what you mean, mate.
and I would
It's one of those
suggest
things.
I would say something similar to the movies is going to happen. I think when stuff comes out, if people are kind of like this hasn't done very well. It's had like 4 views a day or something, a bit like our YouTube channel.
All right. Well, instead of saying very sad and depressing, I think another I've gone about negatives. Another positive is it will be a candle in the dark for animators to flock to. Instead of being worried about Games Workshop suing the pants off them and removing their clothes off their back, they might go, "Hello, Mr. Games Workshop. This is my previous animation stuff. I've done
What do you think?
stuff. Do you want to hire me?" And they'll go, "Yes, we'd like to offer you this." And they'll say, well, sorry, I think you missed a note of the end of that one. And, well, no. Hopefully
no. I honestly, I want it. I'm not trying to. I'm just, I mean, we can all be negative about it, as we say, but I honestly, there are positives there. And like I said, I would like to think that after this initial phase, I think there will be a few other animators that come to the top, and they're going to be the ones that they'll go back to, and you'll hopefully get regular series out of them. And they're actually very good.
Yeah.
Honestly, they're at a very early stage of this entire thing. So, what else going to say? As I said, I just had a brilliant thought. Friday Night Lights, the Blood Bowl series. I'd watch it. This sounds interesting. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think
the comedy 40k.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's amazing you haven't had anything like that either. Because there are obviously, I think you could create some reasonably amusing kind of series.
Got some web comics, haven't you? They've got web comics up already, and it'd be quite nice if one of those writers kind of went in and we do a little series.
But anyway, I think we've covered Plus.
We have covered.
Do you have any lottery numbers you need to do tonight?
I do have some. Yes.
Did you want to see what they might be? I mean, you never know.
I will. Hopefully, other people are playing along with us. It's not just me doing my lottery thing.
Oh, and also I just saw that there's a 5G announcement in chat as well.
Right, let me get my lottery bits.
In Discord chat, that is. Sorry. Right, I'll find your numbers for you while we're sitting here. My favourite site, the one that always gives the wrong numbers every week. Don might have won. He just doesn't know it. Welcome back, Vanguard Wargaming. I'm glad you got your second shot.
How'd it go?
As I felt Ivor the Bane blade. I'm not quite sure you can do the with the Bane blade. I think it'd be more like thunderous crashing and then carried on thunderous crashing. Jack was saying, obviously, the Orc and Never Chosen webcomics were great. I want to try some of their comic series out. Actually, I haven't really delved into it.
Some of them are quite good actually. They're really hit and miss, but some of them are pretty good.
Are you ready, Billy?
Yes.
Tell me when you're.
Let's.
I don't think you're going to like these numbers.
I think I am. It's 2 one of the numbers.
No. Well, actually, it is, but not in the main set of numbers.
Oh.
Number 1.
Go. Yep. What's the first number?
1.
Okay. Has it got a number behind that one?
Nope. Then we've got 21.
Right. Okay. I think we're going to have a repeat of previous weeks.
26.
Yes.
30.
Yes.
38.
No.
Then a 2 and an 8.
What if I get 2 numbers? Do I get anything for 2 numbers?
Let me have a look.
Can I open my gaming centre?
Is that 2 normal numbers?
2 normal. Yeah, 2 normal numbers.
Yeah, you can. There is something for matching 2. Yes.
Vanguard's asked a question. So I've got a question for Dom. What is your favourite Loyalist chapter? My favourite Loyalist chapter would have to be the Executioners.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, they are my favourite Loyalist chapter. Mainly because they are very They're very much like the flesh tearers, except for they don't have the big flaw of being vampires. Um,
Why is that a
they're just
flaw? I don't
they're just
understand.
brutal. And there's this brilliant thing in the Badab War. I don't know how much you know about the Badab War, but the executioners were on the wrong side of that civil war. However, they have kind of repented. They're on a crusade at the moment, so it's all good. It's all going to work out well. But during the Badab War, there's you've got the old space sharks and the minotaurs on the loyalist side, and I think it's against the space sharks where essentially they both landed at this port and killed each other out in a brutal combat. There was like no survivors. They just neither of them would give up, and they just wanted blood. And it's brilliant. And that's what kind of drew me towards them. The paint scheme looks awesome. And they carry around skulls and stuff, and they collect them and take them back. Very Cornesque. That's why I like it.
Yeah, no, it's not. I don't think you're quite getting this chapter.
Nah, they do the right thing. They kill the right issue.
I don't know what I'm saying about because he's asked me the question in reverse, and obviously I'm going to say Night Lords, which they're not really got a good track record on anything related to like keeping people's skin on, really. So
they've never had a good reputation, have they?
Yeah, so I mean, Night Lords for me, it was actually one I was potentially going to do for 30k because I loved the idea. It was actually one of the things that really it was the color scheme I really liked on them. To be fair, I love the lightning kind of effects on it, and I thought that'd be quite a challenge to do. However, when me and Dom decided not to pursue the 30k route due to the rule setting, I decided to build them in 40k, and I've kept them quite a clean build on them. And I've enjoyed. I must. I mean, the story on them is pretty dark. To be fair, they're not the most. Even for renegade chapters, they're pretty brutal.
No one trusts the Night
No,
Lords.
no one trusts it. And the fact is that most of them were kind of like convicts that were kind of pressed into the Emperor's service. They're all bastards, really. There's no real. Before they even turned, they were pretty bad. Because that's how they were recruited. He ended up having to get the worst murderers and all this kind of stuff to join him, and it's just like, well, what do you think was going to happen, Kurz?
Yeah, exactly. I don't think Kurz was the
no.
best Primarch.
But I do like his story at the end, because he allegedly he got assassinated, but he knew it was going to happen because of the visions he had. But the thing is, he had different visions to say Sanguinius. He always saw the worst of every situation, pretty much. There was no way, everything, and I think that would have probably messed me up if that was the case, because it's not, and seeing the worst in every situation that happened, I think it's horrible, really. But at the same time, he was, I don't know whether I think at the end he was pretty repentant in his own head. But the thing is, he didn't really have anything to do with his Night Lord Marines after the end of the Horus Heresy, really. Anyway, he kind of.
Yeah, well, he went on his own little.
Yeah. Well, he got shot into
space.
Like
a lot of the chaos Primarchs, they just lost interest. And a lot of the legions fractured and kind of went off on their own thing. So I think a loyalist kind of Night Lords remained with Kurz, but a lot of them just like go do our own thing. Let's go skin people.
And not to mention, he wasn't really there for the Siege of Terror because he got shot into space in a capsule.
Poor old Kurz.
Well, I don't know. Also, he has a great model, actually, I must say. He has one of the better 30k models, in my opinion. His model's actually pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Peter missed the whole stream. Sorry, dude. Obviously, feel free to go back and watch it if you want to. And he's saying new army, question mark. Don't know. He's starting a new army or me starting a new army? Don't know.
Well, it's to do with the executioners. If I found a decent paint scheme to do them, I would. But there's no decent paint scheme on there. It's a very hard paint scheme to follow because it's like a metallic blue, and it doesn't look as good as the artwork. So, not at the moment.
And Jack saying, I felt sorry for Kurz. Just wanted to end the crime and was forced to lead Legion of the Worst Crimson. Well, I mean, force is a strong word.
To be fair, he did free the planet from criminals because he took them all with him.
Yeah. But then unfortunately they just got replaced with other ones. So
whoops.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think he's one of those borderline Primarchs. He's one of the ones you kind of think he could have gone either way, but his Legion was definitely going to end up in the shitter because it was all made of bat. It was basically rotten to the core from the beginning, so it was never really going to be a fantastic thing. And his tactics were very brutal, very much down to kind of scare tactics, just like, for instance, it's very like, for instance, you took the Alpha Legion as a complete polar opposite. They went in and tried to do elaborate tactics to avoid all this kind of stuff, and then suddenly it's like, oh, we're under attack. Oh, they've killed everyone.
Yeah. Alpha Legion was like one massive kind of coordinated thing. When Night Lords were like, we're not that coordinated. We'll go in, hang a few people up, scare everyone.
But
Alpha Legion was a bit different. It's like, I'll infiltrate your royal family 4 generations before Civil War.
Well, I mean, I don't know where we want to go from there. Are we kind of drawing to
it? We've drawn it to a nice end today. So we've got a few battles up to do some reports.
Basically, you've got 3 weeks worth of games. We've got 3 weeks worth of battle reports coming up, guaranteed, guys. All right, we're on it, and we're on it like a car bonnet. Anyone who's not English can look that one up.
Don't look it up.
Actually, to be fair, I don't know what you get if you googled that. That might be quite a bad statement. But anyway,
picture up doing that.
Anyway,
Tom.
Oh yes, you want to mention Goblin Gaming, don't you?
Go check them out, guys. Go check them out. Follow the link below. I can't be bothered to the whole spiel.
Down here, Goblin Gaming.
Yeah. Down underneath the camera is where Goblin Gaming is. Go check the link out. Help us out. Buy some nice things.
Yes. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching as usual. It was a very enjoyable stream tonight. And we look forward to hopefully catching you next Tuesday. I am on call next Tuesday just to give you all a warning. Not that it may not matter, may not have any effect on the stream at all. I might be here quite calmly, not drinking, of course, because I'm cool. And I hope Dom will be here as well. Obviously, Dom will put up the challenge details shortly.
Yeah. Yep.
And we will. I'm Tom, and this guy over here.
I'm Dom.
And do you know what we make up? That thing he's got on his shirt over there. Black Toe Studios. It's been a pleasure talking to you all this evening, and we will see you on the flip side. Oh yeah, what was the reference?
Cool kid.
Nice. Take care, everyone.
See you later.
Bye.